It is a Don Castaneda, ex-Marine, expert life coach, recovery coach, intervention professional, here to discuss neurological development. I haven't played video games in a little over 10 years, about at least 10 years. And my Xbox is so old, it does not even play the new games. Okay, I have an Xbox One S, I think. It's a Gears of War edition, which is pretty cool. It's got the Gears of War logo, it's red. The controller's red with the Gears of War logo, and so it's unique. It's a special edition, and I started playing Gears of War. I used to play that a long time ago, and you put the headset on, you could talk to people all across the world on that network over the internet, and you just work with teams, co-play, and kind of collaborate. Tell each other what's happening, tell them when you're hit, tell them when you're down, to flank and stuff like that, when to attack, and when to move forward. And so that's pretty cool for communication and coordination, and to have that synchrony or synchronization. So but yeah, it's also about neurological development. If you play 1 or 2 hours a day, no more than that, I get a little motion sickness because all the movement and all that. But it's good to start memorizing patterns, learning new codes, directions, colors. Your brain has to interpret all these things, and so it's good for neurological development. 1 to 2 hours a day. And if the game gets old, or you beat the game, on to the next game. Like Battlefield 6, there's up to six. And Gears of War, there's actually a number five, and that one is only, my Xbox is so old it won't work on that. It won't play on my Xbox. It's too old. So maybe one day I'll upgrade to a PlayStation 5. That seems like more extreme for storytelling, cinematic, storytelling, and kind of like an immersive type of experience. So PlayStation 5 is supposed to be, one of the most powerful. It's the most powerful, console out there. Nintendo Switch is good for kids. It's family friendly. Nintendo Switch 2 is the latest one out. Xbox, S series or whatever the latest one is out. It's owned by Microsoft, and it's good for now. But I want to move up and upgrade to PlayStation 5 one day. Hopefully sometime in the near future. But here's this. I didn't do too bad on this video game. So I'm gonna upload this real quick. Let me play it just so you can see how I did. It's kind of a.
He's lucky I still speak to him.
Hey, I was very supportive.
That's one way to describe it. Not an accurate way, but a way.
Yeah, it's like Battlefield 61, I guess, more to it, but Gears of War, I guess it's more trippy, to be honest. I did, a bunch
Right,
of
we're in the second ring. We should be getting close.
Look alive! DB's incoming!
It has a great
We are concerned for your welfare.
Just in the past couple of days,
Hostile contacts identified.
Heads up! We got another card!
Obstruction hub dead ahead!
Potential hostile targets. Engaging targets. Unit reloading.
Drag out!
Need some ammo over here!
Hostile contacts acquired.
The jump fire! Move your ass and get me out! I got you!
Unlawful citizens acquired. Cease and desist all hostile activity. Engage targets with non-lethal force. We are authorized.
Membrane anyway.
Possible hostile contact.
think there's like Iron Man mode and there's Insane mode and Hard mode. This is just casual, you know, it's not too extreme. If I had it on a extremely difficult mode, you know, they'd kill you in 1 or 2 shots and you'd have to start over a lot of times. But that it's good for neurological development, you know. Don't get addicted to it. Don't waste your life on it. There's a saying about chess that I've heard. It's famous, it's popular. I've looked it up. Something along the lines of, you know, a good game of chess is respectable, but an expert game of chess is a sign of a wasted life. You know. So, an expert game of chess, if you spend your whole life in chess, unless you're a grandmaster and you're getting paid millions of dollars because you're in the best in the world, you know, that's a living. You're making a living. But some people become experts and grandmasters, and their whole lives just some of them are kind of schizophrenic, I guess. They waste their whole lives in it, and maybe they think they can make money. I guess it's like a dream, but you have to do other things, and you know, try to live a good life, a quality life. You know, relationships, building, you know, friends and family, household. For me, it's like living the American dream. That's what I'm big on. You know, family, you know, uh, kids, dog, house, white picket fence, car, truck, good neighborhood, you know, good finances, good financial situation, security, having investments, having retirement nest egg, you know, college funds for your kids, everything that you can possibly imagine, you know, in being successful with mental and physical health. You know, mental and physical health, you're clean, you don't do drugs, you don't do alcohol, you know, you limit all that, and you don't you know, you take your health very seriously. You diet, you exercise, you hit the gym, you train hard, you know, do what you're supposed to, stay fit, strong, smart, competent, you know, in work and in real life, you know. Take medicine if you have to for psychiatric disabilities, and you know, so that's part of it. Just being mentally and physically healthy. That's part of, you know, if you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, you know, you can't enjoy it, you know. And a lot of times people die early because their health gets to them, you know. So, maintain your health. If anything, your mental and physical health should always improve, right? You should always be getting healthier, you know, if you can, right? I know you age and all that, but it shouldn't be declining. If anything, your diet should be getting better, your vitamins should be helping, you know, you improve your health. Exercise should be making you stronger, you know, eating the right, you know, minerals and nutrients and foods, right? Strict diet, you should be getting better. Your cholesterol should be declining. Your triglycerides should be declining. Your glucose level, like sugar level, should be declining. You know, and you should be fit and healthy. And when you get a blood analysis, it should come out clean, and you're just a healthy individual. You know, and so that will limit a lot of diseases like cancer, diabetes, neurological problems, inflammation of the brain. It could possibly prevent, you know, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. You know, special diets, especially can, you know, reduce symptoms of MS, sclerosis, you know, a whole bunch of different illnesses, overweight, high blood pressure, you know, diabetes, you know, eating a bunch of sugar and junk food, greasy foods clog up your heart. You have heart disease, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis. So, you know, maintain your health. And, you know, this video game is just to show that neurological development is one part of it, right? You want a physical, healthy body. Your body's a machine. You know, treat it as such. You want the maximum, you know, operating engine with high performance capabilities. So, you know, once you're performing at optimal, you know, capacity, then you're going to be feeling a lot better, moving a lot faster, thinking quicker. You know, for me, in my case, sometimes I talk fast, and a doctor, psychiatrist, he's not used to patients being able to comprehend and be coherent with the world. So they'll say I'm manic, and they'll overdose me and they'll medicate me because they're not used to it, and they're not used to they're not used to patients expressing themselves, or, you know, talking, you know, faster than their normal patients. So, you know, if that's the case, it can be useful for me creating content, working on books as a bookkeeper, you know, doing different things, writing books and stuff like that. It helps me be creative and imaginative. But a psychiatrist, they won't understand. But that's one of the things I have to deal with. And it's like, if you're eating healthy, if you're doing the right things, your brain's functioning better, then your processing speed is faster, your intelligence is faster. So just like a computer, if you have a high performance CPU, a high performance processing speed, then it works a lot quicker. You can multitask, you can do a bunch of different things, and computers are kind of made after the human brain, right? As storage, processing, cameras, like kind of like eyes and optics, and all this stuff kind of functions like a brain, recall and processing information, stuff like that. So kind of the same concept, not exactly the same. There's mechanical and there's organic. So we're organic creatures. Computers are mechanical. But if you want a high performance computer, you want a high performance body too. You want high performance machine. You want high performance, physical, organic body and mind, right? So that you're strong, you can run, you can jump over walls if you have to. If you have to run away from the cops, that's a joke, okay? But if you have to run away from someone attacking you or something going on, or if there's a, something happening like an active shooter out there, you got to run and duck and hide and get away from the situation, or anything can happen out there, to be honest. And you got to think quick, call the cops, call anyone you can, tell people to get out of the situation. You got to maybe help people evacuate, whatever you got to do to help others at the same time. And so you want to be able to think as quick as possible. You don't want to be manic. You don't need to drink 10 cups of coffee. I'll drink 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day, sometimes decaf and some tea. But coffee can help a little bit, and it's a central nervous system stimulant, a CNS stimulant, central nervous system stimulant. So it's a stimulant, and it increases heart rate, respiratory functioning, and your metabolism. So it helps you make a bowel movement and all that. So things can help, but you don't want to overdo it because it's a stimulant. So to think as quickly as possible with logical, rational functioning, just be healthy, vitamins, minerals, dieting, and if you're eating clean foods, that's going to be pumping, the proper nutrients to your brain, clean blood to your brain, clean oxygen to your brain, clean red blood cells with the proper nutrients to your brain, like nootropics, lion's mane, good for your brain. It's a brain preservative, helps with memory and just supports brain preservation and plasticity. So there's other neurotropics out there. Ginkgo biloba is good for memory. It increases blood flow to the region of the brain responsible for memory. So there's a lot of things you could do. Video games is kind of like Sudoku or a word search or puzzles, and older generations just like word searches or Sudoku or puzzles and stuff like that, crossword puzzles. The younger generations sometimes usually like video games, but don't overdo it. So that's how I did. If you saw that, I know the screen of myself is a little large. I should have minimized it, but hopefully you got something out of this, and stay tuned for the next video. Take it easy.